but it has left us with a bit of a predicament. So we're hopefully going to resolve that predicament in this video. Welcome back, folks. I'm Lloyd Purvis and this is Run4Adventure. Hope you're all doing well out there. We are back today with a video with a bit of a difference. So we're not doing a running apparel review or shoe reviews, and it's definitely not a race day video, although racing does feature in this video. I was thinking the other day back to when it was the last time I lined up on a start line of a race, and it was Freedom Racing's KVK back in March 2020. Can't quite believe it's been well over a year since I've lined up on the start line of a race. So it felt quite weird getting these through the post the other day. My numbers for the Grand Union Canal Race 2021. Unfortunately, I should have been super excited about receiving these numbers, especially when I'm going to be back on the start line of a race and such an iconic ultra race here in the UK. If you've been following the channel for some time, or even if you've followed the channel from the beginning of the year, you'll know that the start of 2021 hasn't been the best for me when it comes to injuries and niggles. Just after Christmas last year, I ended up with a small calf tear, had to rest, had to rehab it, thought it was okay, probably came back and pushed a bit too hard too soon. Schoolboy error, I know, and ended up tearing that calf again, so I was out for another 4 or 5 weeks. And then first run back where I felt I was over all them calf niggles, the calf tear had healed, and I was ready to push on again, out on a bit of a road run, went to step up a curb and wallop. The next thing I know, I'm on the floor, ended up with a grade 3 ankle sprain. Now, I know as runners, we are all constantly dealing with little issues, little niggles, and we're sort of managing our bodies through those problems within our training. And I also realised that there's people out there in the world that have got much bigger problems and bigger issues than I had to deal with at the beginning of this year when it came to injuries and niggles in my running. But it has left us with a bit of a predicament. So we're hopefully going to resolve that predicament in this video. So I thought the only way to find out if it's worth making that long trip up to Birmingham and lining up on the start line of this iconic ultra race was to give my fitness, my body, my mind, and that recovering ankle a thorough testing. So we're going to be getting kitted up, we're going to be heading out onto the beautiful trails of Cornwall, where I'll fill you in on the plan that I've come up with to see if it is going to be achievable to run this iconic and very long Grand Union Canal Race. Woo! It is a warm one. I can't believe it. I literally left home and it was cloudy, real strong sort of wind gusting around. So I got dressed for sort of cold conditions, gilet, arm warmers. As soon as I stepped out the door, the sun came out and now we got blue sky. Still got a headwind, but that headwind is pretty warm actually, so I'm absolutely roasting. Let me get this gilet off before I cook. Right, that's a bit better. I'll leave the arm warmers on for now because there is quite a strong wind, but we'll see how we go as we carry on this run. So the plan today is to run 20 miles and to give the body a thorough testing before Grand Union Canal. You know, there's no point going up there if I'm not ready for it, especially with that ankle still in recovery. So we're going to go 20 miles. We've done, what, 3 miles already. And like I said, the last thing I want to do is go up to Grand Union, run the race, end up knackering myself, having to pull out and not finishing, and then ruining the rest of my year, especially with racing back on the calendar. So we're trying to replicate race conditions the best we can. So before I left home, I went onto the STRAVA app and I used their Route Explorer feature. If you subscribe to the STRAVA app, there's a brilliant feature. You literally click on Route Explorer and you can find a route in your local area, or if you're traveling away, literally click on it. The app will find your location via your phone, That'll be your starting and finishing point. So then you can also select the distance you want to run. So it could be 5, 10, 20 miles, and you can select whether you want a flat run or hilly run, but you can also select the type of terrain. So whether it's hard standing tarmac or whether you pick trails as your route. The app then finds routes in your local area using all its data from its other athletes, and it comes up with a selection of routes. So we used that feature earlier today. It came up with a great 20-mile route with a bit of tarmac, bit of hard standing, but quite a lot of trail on it as well. So we've done about 3.5 miles of road so far, but we're going to be heading down by the river, which is a perfect location. So let's jog on and let's get down by the river. We have made it down to the river, but like I was saying, if you have Strava, if you are registered to Strava, then definitely worth checking out that Route Explorer feature. Living down in Cornwall on the coast path, we do a lot of out and back runs, and I don't mind an out and back run. I think it's great for sort of mental strength when it comes to your training, but it is nice to run a loop now and again, and by using that Route Explorer feature, we have found some incredible routes. We found new trails that we didn't even know existed in Cornwall, and we've been running here for years. So definitely worth checking out that Route Explorer app. But we made it to the river. We've done a good, 5 miles of hard standing on the tarmac, which is great when it comes to preparation or testing my body for the Grand Union, because the race starts in the centre of Birmingham, so you have to do a fair bit of tarmac before you start picking up the softer trails. Hopefully you can hear me all right. It is pretty blustery around here, but I have got the media mod on the GoPro, so audio should be okay. But like I was saying, I wanted to replicate the race conditions as close as I could. And this is a perfect venue to do that. This is very similar to running the Grand Union. At the Grand Union, you've got very similar underfoot conditions. And we've even got the river. So, okay, there's no longboats or locks to go through, but having that waterway next to me, very, very similar to the race. I kind of feel like I'm in the race at the moment. Also, obviously wearing my pack, carrying all the mandatory kit that I'll need for the race, and I've got 1.5 litres of water with me as well. So again, just trying to do my best to replicate that race conditions, just so I can give the body a proper test to see if it's going to hold up to the Grand Union race. If you're not familiar with the Grand Union Canal Race, it starts at Gas Street in the centre of Birmingham and then runs 145 miles along the Grand Union Canal all the way to Little Venice in London. So as you can imagine, running that kind of distance along the canal, there is a big mixture of underfoot conditions. You've got quite a bit of hard standing, quite a bit of tarmac, quite a bit of towpath, but you've also got a lot of trail, and I think this Craft CTM handles everything pretty well. Nice and comfortable on the road, but then you've got that 3mm lug that's going to give you a bit more traction than the road shoe on the trails, especially if it's rain and it's a bit wet and muddy underfoot. So we're just going to be bobbing along today at sort of 30-minute miling, taking our time, doing a bit of filming, taking on nutrition, doing a bit of walking. There's no point testing the body if we're not going to stick to how I'm going to go and run the race. I'm not going to be racing it. It's definitely going to be going up to Grand Union Canal just to get completion, get to that finish line, just to get that box ticked. So just over 5 miles in, and the body's feeling really good actually. So what would that be? Only another 140 miles to go. Don't know what I'm worried about. Feeling positive. I think when Strava planned out the route for me, it probably didn't realise that the pathway is eroding and it's been fenced off. Between you and me, we'll keep it our little sort of YouTube secret. We're going to sneak through and we're going to keep running. I don't think it's going to be too bad. The river's like knee deep and I'm a good swimmer, so I should be all right. So let's sneak through, and we're going to continue a little bit further up the pathway and see how we get on. I'll be safe, I promise. I'll be careful. This is a perfect example of why that Strava Route Explorer is so good. We're what, 10 miles into the run. I just ran a lovely little section of road, really quiet, no traffic. And then we popped onto this public footpath. Never been here before, but we've been down the river, we've had some hard standing. Now we're crossing these beautiful fields, but I have had a bit of history with the Grand Union Canal before. I went and took on the race in 2017 and unfortunately didn't make the finish. I'd been crewing a friend of mine who did a double Ironman about 3 weeks before. But while I was there, I also decided, a stupid idea, but I thought it'd be good to run 100 miles as well. So I crewed him, he finished, he did a great job. I ran 100 miles, and unfortunately, I didn't get a lot of sleep, as you can imagine, and I was pretty run down. So a couple of days later, went down really ill, chest infection, coughing, cold, the whole works, you know, really, really bad. And it had only just cleared up a couple of days before I went up to Grand Union. So as you can imagine, running 145 miles when you're driving up to the start of the race and you're coughing your guts up is probably not the best idea. But we thought we'd still give it a go. So you think I'd have learned by now, you know, me testing my body out a few weeks before the race, not feeling fully fit and having a few ankle niggles after that ankle sprain. You think I'd know better. What am I doing? But I've got to say, so far so good. 10 miles in, body feels good, ankle feels good, and my legs feel pretty fresh. So, you know, things are looking positive. Obviously, we're only 10 miles into a 20-mile run, and we would only be 10 miles into a 145-mile run. So we're going to crack on. We'll get the rest of these 10 miles done, and then see how we feel at the end. So we are just making a loop back to the river where we started the run. We've been off on some really nice sort of country roads for about 3 or 4 miles, and we're 15 miles into the run. The roads were great. I didn't see one car for 4 or 5 miles, and these Craft CTM Ultras felt great on them tarmac conditions. So feeling pretty good at the moment, the body, but we've also been testing some Maurten gels out. So I've had the normal one, we've also got the caffeine one, but I've also got their 160 drink mix in one of the bottles. I've been testing them for probably a month now on some shorter runs, but I didn't want to do a review yet until I got to test them on a much longer run. So this run has been perfect for that. So far, so good. I always thought it was a bit of an overhyped product and a very expensive product, but I've got to admit, the gels seem to be working really well. The drink mix seems to be working really well. If you've ever used them before, the consistency of their gels is quite different from anything else, and they're actually the only gel that is a gel on the market. All the others are sugary syrups apparently, but digest really easy, hardly any taste, and you feel like you get loads of energy from the gels in the drink. So they're working really well, and I'm probably going to use them in Grand Union Canal as well with solid foods if I go up and do the race. But like I said, 15 miles in, we've got 5 miles to go. We're heading back to the river, and like I said, so far so good. Body feels great. Right, that is just under, what, 18 miles done, so a couple of miles till we get home. We're just about to go back on the hard stuff on the tarmac for the last few miles, but I've got to be honest, I'm actually surprised how my body is feeling, especially that recovering sprained ankle. It's felt pretty good all the way through the run. A little bit tight in the hamstrings, and if I'm totally honest, I'm not convinced at my fitness levels, having not done a lot of long mileage lately in my training. But we're going to get home, we're going to tell you whether it is a thumbs up for Grand Union or the thumbs down for Grand Union. Also, this Craft shoe seems to drain water pretty good. Right, let's get back on the road, we'll see you back at home. Oh, that's better. We've had a shower, feeling a lot fresher now, that's for sure. Also had a little shave for you guys at home, but we did just under 20 miles. So the run came in at 19.8 miles in the end, and it was a great test of where my fitness is at, where that ankle recovery is at, but also where I am mentally when it comes to running distance. When you're taking on a big challenge like running 145 miles, you definitely have to be in the right frame of mind mentally to push through the highs and lows that you're going to have. have, and you are definitely going to have lots of them when you're covering this type of distance. As I run those last couple of miles home and suffered a bit, it really got me reflecting about the beginning of my running year and how crazy it's been with all the niggles and injuries. Normally I'd have clocked up well over 1,000 miles in training. I'd have probably done lots of 20-mile plus training runs, some back-to-back weekends, and I'd have probably raced a couple of ultras already this year, say around the sort of 50k, 50-mile distance. Obviously, with us being a global pandemic and racing being off the calendar, there's been no races, but also with them 2 calf tears and that ankle sprain, I've only clocked up about 400 miles in training. And if I'm honest, most of that mileage has come in the last 3 or 4 weeks. Crazy fact also, while I was digging in for them last 2 miles, it got me realizing that today was my first 20-mile run of the year. I haven't done any runs of that distance so far this year. And it was kind of a light bulb moment for me to think, so I was thinking of going up to Birmingham, trying to run the Grand Union Canal Race at 145 miles with that level of training under my belt and the level of fitness I have in my body. I must be crazy. So you can probably tell the outcome of the test already. It didn't really go to plan, but you know, it really made me realise that I am in no fit state to go up to Birmingham and to try and run that distance. You know, I haven't got the training miles under my belt. All I'd end up doing is leaving myself broken and in a right mess. But also them training miles that prepare us physically, them training miles also prepare us mentally, and I'm just not in the right headspace to take on such a distance. It's a tough call to make, and I'm sure there's lots of you out there that have gone through similar situations, but I know, hand on my heart, 100% it is the correct call to make, and I'd just be wasting my time going up there and trying to tackle that race. So I'm happy with that decision. You know, it's fine with me. Plus, I'm super happy to get through 20 miles for the first time this year. Yes, I just about made it through, made it home, and there was a couple of niggles with my Achilles and ankle, but they've already settled down, so I'm sure they're going to be fine. We've also got some other great races to look forward to this year. We're going to be going up to the Serpent Trail 50k. Can't wait for that weekend away. There's lots of guys from Cornwall going up. It's going to be an awesome race weekend, especially now it's part of the Golden Trail series. And fingers crossed, come August, we can head out to Chamonix to take on the super challenging TDS. I'm obviously still disappointed about not going up and racing Grand Union. It's taken me 3 years to get back on the start line of that race, and I really wanted to go back up there and sort of right all the wrongs after my first pathetic attempt at that distance. But this is running, guys. You know, when you're taking on these long distances, you're training for these long distances, it doesn't always work out and go to plan. The other reason I'm disappointed is because it would have been great to bring the cameras, to capture some content, to bring you guys along for the ride, and to actually bring you some race day footage. It's been so long since we've had race day footage on the channel, and it's really been missing. But we are working on a plan B, guys. We've already got things in place. We're speaking to people. We're trying to sort something out. There's actually a race going on the same weekend over a shortened distance, a distance that I'm pretty sure I can manage. So hopefully we'll still be able to bring you some epic race day footage of that weekend. But really hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Really hope you enjoyed coming along on that test run, even though the outcome is a bit negative and we won't be doing the Grand Union Canal. If you enjoyed it, guys, give us a big thumbs up. It's really appreciated. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It only takes a second to do, it's completely free, and it's a great way of supporting the channel. But also give that bell icon a push so that you'll be notified when we upload any new content. Also, guys, don't forget the pre-orders for the awesome looking Run4Adventure technical running apparel that we've just launched close on the 16th of May, so very soon. You've only got a few more days to get your orders in. Don't miss out, get in the mix so you've got some wicked looking running kit to run in this summer. But for now, guys, thanks for watching and supporting the channel is so appreciated. We'll see you back here very soon, and as always, stay safe and keep on running.